Forgiveness. I want to talk briefly about that woman's sentencing for murdering Botham Jean. I'm not saying her name because her name. Let's remember the name of the innocent man who she killed. The sentencing came down about 2 days ago. Obviously, I didn't do a video right away, and I wasn't really planning to do one at all. I don't have a ton to say about this, to be perfectly honest. More to the point, I feel that my stance on this whole situation is likely to be an unpopular one, but on today, I honestly just don't give a shit if my opinion is unpopular. I know that Julesy did a video on this. I saw that Calvin Michaels also did a live stream where he talked about it. I actually haven't watched either of their videos yet. I will, but I haven't watched them yet, due in no small part to the fact that my best way of coping with these stories when they happen again and again and again and again is avoidance. Even though I haven't watched their videos yet, I will of course link them below as always. Anyway, some of us had less than a day of stunned elation over the justice system appearing to work for Black people for once, when in a shocking turn of events, this woman was actually found guilty. Until the next day when we found out, just kidding, when we heard her sentencing. And yet again, the system has failed. Actually, that's not true. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. This white woman, this cop, shot and killed a Black man while he was in his own home, with her entering his home while he was there watching TV, minding his goddamn business. Even without getting deep into her history of bigoted comments, which have been documented pretty doggone well through text messages. We straight up have transcripts of this. We know that this woman is a racist, now ex-cop, period. Now, I have limited my exposure to the commentary surrounding this story. That's why I haven't watched Julesy and Calvin's videos yet, just because I'm sick of this. Nonetheless, I am quite certain that many people will have made comparisons to the notion of this situation being reversed. If a Black man had hypothetically broken and entered a white woman's apartment, shot and killed her, and said that he had made a mistake because he was confused, and then after killing her didn't even attempt to administer CPR, we all know that would have been under the jail and with the swiftness. Or what about this hypothetical? This same woman breaks and enters Jean's home, and he has a legal registered firearm, which he uses in self-defense to shoot and kill her before she can discharge her weapon. The fact that she is a white woman and a cop would override the fact that she was illegally in his home. It would override the fact that he would have been within his rights to defend himself, and he also would probably have wound up under the jail. But that, of course, is not the story. That's not what has happened. This woman shot and killed a man in cold blood, and she was sentenced to 10 years. 10 years, and she'll be out in 5. For murder. If I'm honest, I am more surprised that she was convicted at all than I'm surprised by this paltry prison sentence. After all, there are myriad cases that I can point to illustrate just how insane this disparity is. We just had a taste of this with this Felicity Huffman college fraud case sentencing, and I'm sure that this comparison has been made at length too. Huffman basically got off scot-free when compared to low-income Black mothers who have suffered inordinately greater consequences of fines and long prison sentences simply for using a friend's address to get their children zoned for better public schools. Oddly enough, with that woman getting only 10 years, which she won't even fully serve. One case that came to my mind was Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson, the former NBA athlete whose career almost ended before it even started. Again, we have myriad examples that we can cite to make this point. But I'm going with this one because he's a famous athlete, and I feel like this will just help to paint a better picture in y'all's minds of just how disparate this situation is when compared to this cop. When Iverson was 17 years old, already a local celebrity star athlete, he was at a bowling alley in his hometown when a fight broke out. It was between a group of white kids at the bowling alley who, in a shocking twist, thought that the Black kids at the bowling alley were being too loud. Here's the thing. Iverson was captured on video leaving the bowling alley before the fight actually broke out. Moments before, but he was caught on video leaving nonetheless, meaning, plain as day, he literally was not there. He was not directly involved. There were receipts. I don't know what could exonerate a person more than having actual footage of this individual leaving a scene before any supposed crimes took place, but evidently, even incontrovertible evidence be hitting different for some of us. So even though, again, they had video of Iverson leaving the scene before this incident, he was convicted of maiming by mob along with 3 of his friends and sentenced to 15 years. 15 years for an altercation where he wasn't even present. 15 years, which is significantly longer than the 10 years that this cop has gotten. For murder. By the way, fun fact, none of the white boys who actually instigated the bowling alley fight were arrested. Iverson served 4 months before the governor of Virginia finally granted him clemency due to insufficient evidence. Obviously insufficient evidence. And that is the only reason that the 76ers ever even got the answer. Now, much has been made of Botham Jean's brother forgiving this murderer and even hugging her after the sentencing. Apparently, even the judge hugged this woman. Now, Brant Jean, the brother, his grieving process is his own. I can objectively understand why he is choosing to deal with this situation in this way. Because carrying around anger and hatred with you is not a sustainable way to live, and it won't bring his brother back. However, he is a much better person than I am. This much I know. Because let's face it, emotions can overtake objectivity, and all I feel toward this entire situation is anger. If I were in his position, I don't think that I would be capable of forgiving her, let alone hugging her. If Brant chooses to forgive her, then his forgiveness and the forgiveness from Botham's other loved ones is really all that matters. Whether you or I forgive her is inconsequential, really. But if we're going to talk about one of the court officers apparently brushing this woman's hair and then the judge hugging her, I'm just curious to know how it is that this woman seems to be getting more tenderness and compassion than the dead man. You know, the one she killed. Just like, oh, you poor thing, we know you're sorry you killed him. There, we know. And for anyone leaving comments about 2 wrongs don't make a right or any similar platitudes, I'll let you know right now those comments will not be dignified with response. People, some of them black people, care more about the feelings of a white woman who is a murderer than they care about the innocent man who she killed. So if all you have to offer is, we should be the bigger person, then you clearly have no appreciation of the fact that for centuries now, there have been little to no consequences for taking a black person's life. We are not talking about someone who made some off-color tweets in 2012. We're talking about a cold-blooded killer, and it seems that far too many people are failing to recognize that simply because she's a white woman. This is beyond going high when they go low. This is profound, devastating, anti-black conditioning to the point that even some black people seem to think that black lives don't matter enough for there to be punishment commensurate with the crime of taking one. The fact that forgiveness is trending behind this, go ahead with that. I guess I'm just a little too distracted by the unrelenting reminders that our lives do not matter. If a white or otherwise non-black person were to break into my apartment right now and shoot me dead in my own home, if that person even were to be convicted, the sentencing probably would be pretty lightweight. Why should racism, oppression, and the relentless devaluing of black people in our lives, why should that be forgiven? Forgiveness allows this to continue. Matter of fact, we forgive these things every day just by being good citizens who go to work, mind our business, and don't actively rail against and protest these atrocities. Again, that woman didn't murder my brother, so whether or not I forgive her is neither here nor there. But I am genuinely bothered by this forgiveness shuck and jive that I've seen in my fleeting glimpses of the non-reality of social media surrounding this. Because we certainly wouldn't be seeing these overly grand gestures celebrating forgiveness and humanity if it had been a black man or a black woman who murdered a white woman. No one would have all that forgiveness energy then. And though I hate cynicism, it is forcing me to take note of just how important it is for some people to want to appear to be good. Like that judge who had no business hugging the defendant. What in the actual But there's an element of narcissism, more often than many people care to admit, motivating so many people's so-called good deeds and behaviors. It's declaring to the world, look how good a person I am. I'm so good that I can forgive this murderer because she's a white woman and she actually needs to be protected. By no means do I think the solution is for us as Black people to walk around in constant anger and sorrow. That is not the answer. One of y'all left a comment under my video on When They See Us, and I actually really loved it. She said, we must protect our joy. But I don't think doing so should come at the expense of recognizing malice for malice and calling it what it is, or at the expense of holding unspeakably terrible people responsible for their actions and demanding that they receive a punishment commensurate with what they have done. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this, at least for now. That is how I feel. It's probably unpopular. I don't give a shit. Thank you for watching. Let's keep the discussion respectful in the comments, please, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.